We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. Drop the mic with Jason Hunt.
Vance, welcome to the show. How you doing?
I appreciate it, Jason. Thanks so much. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I do get a handful of requests for people wanting to hop on this podcast, but I probably actually entertain a small amount of them, and yours really stuck out to me because of your backstory and the whole Disney magic and all that sort of stuff, which we're gonna dive into today in this podcast. But before we break into anything, I'd love to hear a bit of your backstory, where you came from, and what kind of motivated you to the point where you are today.
Yeah, certainly. So, I mean, we could go back to I was a wee lad in a log cabin, but that's probably too far back for you. We could, excuse me. No, so I started my working career with Disney. So spent a little over a decade working for them, which if you're going to have a start in business, that's not a bad foundation to have. Spent about 20 years in hospitality, primarily hotels and restaurants. 18 years ago, I opened up my own home service businesses. So it's one of the things that really separates me, I think, from a lot of other coaches and consultants, is that I actually have some real businesses that I'm running, in addition to coaching, because sometimes you can get that Coaches R Us plaque from wherever. But all through it was what was really driving is this: I can't stand getting crap service, having a crap experience. And so I'm kind of like one business at a time, trying to eradicate that crap service, for lack of a better term. And really, that's what drives me. I mean, there's just, the bar is set so low right now. Exceeding it is very easy if you just put your mind to it. So, so half corporate life, half entrepreneur, and ticking away.
I come from a background where I worked at a company called Cargill, which was the second biggest private company in the world, meat products, food products, basically selling steaks and things like that to restaurants and big grocery store chains. But through that experience, it's funny how when you go through your entrepreneurial journey, you always resort back to things that worked in those big, massive companies at the time and bring them to the kind of that boutique approach, being an entrepreneur and where you are today. What are some of the biggest takeaways that you can think of that Disney kind of gave to you from that experience of working with Disney?
Yeah, great question. And, I get that frequently, and people are sometimes surprised, sometimes disappointed that I don't say, oh, yeah, we learned how to wow the guests, or we learned how to pick up trash really fast. The biggest lesson I got, and this was actually on my first couple of days there, I was on the opening team of the Yacht and Beach Club Resort. And I'm walking with my boss to one of the training rooms. And we walk in, and you got to remember, this is before everybody had a computer on their desk, certainly no laptops. And the phone was, that big brick that everybody was carrying around. So we walk into this room, and it is just stacked with binders. I mean, just rows and rows of binders. And I asked, so, what the hell is all this? He says, well, these are all of the OJTs and SOPs on how to open and operate a Disney resort. These are all the systems, all the processes that you need. And so my first big lesson at Disney was Disney runs on systems and processes. And I've taken that lesson from that day in 1989 through today. And at Disney, those systems and processes gave the employees freedom to be able to do the nice things that Disney is known for. So you essentially got your job down, it was like rote memory, muscle memory. You just kind of did it. And they gave you the freedom to, let's take family pictures for people, do autographs, all the nice stuff Disney's known for. As a business owner, those same systems and processes I instituted in my home service businesses here in Maryland. And that has given me freedom from the business. So I can come and go as I please, and the business doesn't falter, it doesn't fall apart. So I spend about 90 minutes a week on those businesses right now. I put a general manager in place, and I said, run the systems. Don't do anything else. Just run the systems. And it's proven to be solid. And I think the key thing, though, is that I mentioned the 90 minutes, is you can't just fall back and rest on your laurels. So that 90 minutes is spent with the GM on, all right, how do we make it better? Walt Disney had a term called plussing. And, I constantly ask, hey, how do we plus the customer experience? How do we plus the business, plus the profits, whatever it is? And so the business is constantly evolving and advancing. And I don't have to do it all.
Some of those, it's interesting. Once you have this sort of really vast experience in the workforce, whether it's carpet cleaning or whether it's working at Disney, or it allows you to give a perspective to so many different businesses. That's a fresh perspective. Right. Yeah. And I think that's, to your point earlier on, it's like, that's what helps, like, separating yourself from other coaches and consultants that are so embedded in just coaching and consulting and don't think outside of that box. It's kind of a disadvantage, isn't it?
Yeah, so 100%. And, and I use my, my home service business as kind of as my mad lab for marketing campaigns. And, okay, they worked. I'll tell the world about them, and hey, they didn't work, and I'll still tell the world and say, well, I thought it was a good idea. Maybe it'll work in your industry, but it flopped for me. But you're right, having varying views and a different perspective on businesses is vital for everybody.
There was a case study I was reading about you, or maybe just an example, the 125K auto parts campaign.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Dive into that and what kind of, well, first and foremost, explain it, and then explain what kind of brought that idea to fruition.
Sure. So early on in the carpet biz, I was trying to land a auto dealership, car dealership, biggest one in our area. And I could not get a meeting with the GM or the owner of this dealership. I mean, I'm emailing them. I show up and, no, sorry, you can't see them. And I was like, so I finally got a little frustrated. And I said, what can I do to get his attention? So the Postal Service, by the way, at least in the US, will mail anything. So I got a steering wheel. I put a stamp on it with a little sales letter, and I sent it to him. And I didn't hear anything. And without a box. I mean, just literally the steering wheel through the mail. Nothing. 2 weeks later, I sent him a turn signal. Again, just bought a turn signal at the automotive store, put some postage on it, stuck a little sales letter to it, and sent that out. Nothing. I'm like, okay, fine. So I don't know how far I would have gone, but luckily, when I sent him the butt end of a muffler, so not the whole tailpipe, but just that fat part, put a stamp on that, sales letter on that. Next day, get a call that says, look, if you will stop sending me car parts, I'll give you a meeting. And so we got the contract. And it is, and we still have the contract. Value was about $120,000 to $130,000 a year. We just crossed the seven-figure mark back in January. So I figure an investment of probably, with postage, probably about $1,000 to get in front of this guy to get an ROI of close to $1 million. Not bad. And I probably would have gone a couple more car parts and then figured, okay, he's just being a turd. And, yeah, you can't be boring in your marketing. I think that's one of the key lessons, and you need some persistence.
That's a big risk for you to go and invest $1,000 just to get a meeting. And how many different businesses did you try this approach with?
I've done it not with car parts, but I do it with, it's actually kind of my forte now. So I teach my clients how to get meetings with people using, either promotional products or, maybe you just go to the auto parts store and you buy stuff. So we had a HVAC company that I work with, and we did a mailing, and they had branded ice packs. and we sent a very targeted mailing to a upper class neighborhood, and we sent 500. And I think this was last year. Total cost on that was probably around $3,000, ice packs and postage and all that. But their return on it was, I think they're still getting money from it, but initial first 30 days was like about $115,000 in new business from that mailing. And if they had just mailed a postcard, I mean, it would have just gone in the garbage with everything else. But I mean, who sends a ice pack through the mail?
Hey, look, case in point, months back, actually probably a couple years ago now, we were trying to get a branch of our business, which is focused on dental. We were trying to get in front of dental owners, and we thought the best way to do it would be to send a coffee gift card with a postcard, right? Just coffee gift certificate with a postcard, and sent it out. Probably tested it with about 50 different dental practices, and nothing. Got absolutely nothing from it. Just a loss. So, but then again, I mean, coffee, dental, maybe not the best fit. I think sending automotive parts, probably a better fit for the client that you're reaching out to.
And there's something to that campaign that it on the surface sounds like it should have worked. So, I mean, there's all sorts of moving parts there. What was the offer? What was the sales letter like? Was the coffee any good? The one campaign that I've been using to get meetings with somebody I'm not going to invest $1,000 in, but is I actually literally send the cup of coffee through the mail. So there's a postcard that says, studies have shown meetings are more effective with great coffee. And I'm looking to see if I have one close by, but it's literally a little pouch. And inside the pouch is like a tea bag pour over of the coffee. So you're actually sending the coffee, and they don't have to like go out and get it or anything like that. I've gotten good results with that. So
How important is it that you marry up that gift with the actual pain point of the client? You know what I mean? Like there are some opportunities, like the auto part example. I mean, that's obviously a big risk to invest that much money into something like that, but that obviously resonated with the prospect, right?
Right. Yeah, I think trying to again stand out. I think with the dentists, you could do. I don't know if it was big enough to make an impression. Now, if you had sent like chattering teeth, if you remember those, would that have had a better draw? It's not flat, so it's going to come in a box. You got to wonder, if you sent a sales letter and, you put the gift card inside of it, okay, it's an envelope, it's flat, and maybe it looked like commercial mail and it got tossed. But if you send a box, people always open boxes. I mean, it's like Christmas, when the box shows up. Maybe something a little tweak to it. Maybe the sales letter was perfectly fine.
Yeah,
it just didn't get opened. You don't know.
100%. Or maybe the receptionist just took it and got the coffee themselves, and never told the actual decision maker.
There is that. And getting past decision makers is, I mean, it's getting harder and harder every day. But if I find a gatekeeper, I will usually use FedEx to get past the gatekeeper, because it will have personal and confidential for whatever the guy's or gal's name is. And so if that gatekeeper opens it up, and she's in trouble.
Hey, quick question. Does your marketing copy sound like it was written by a robot? Because it probably was. Here's the thing. Everyone's using the same ChatGPT templates now, same generic messaging, same boring copy that makes you invisible. But while your competitors are blending into the background, you can teach AI to write in your authentic voice. I've created a free AI brand interview guide that's going to show you exactly how to get AI to capture your personality, not some corporate robot version of you. It's 30 questions plus step-by-step instructions. It takes about 20 minutes, but it'll transform the way you sound online. Download it for free at jayhunt.social/AI-interview. That's JAYHUNT.social/AI-interview. Stop sounding like everyone else and start sounding like you.
You know, this is actually very top of mind for us right now as an agency is getting past gatekeepers. We actually had a conversation today with our head of sales, and we talked to Dave. Dave's his name, and Dave, it's like, what's going on with these leads? You're getting a lot of leads, and not so many are getting to the proposal stage. It's a bit of a challenge. And his thing was, well, it's getting the decision makers on the phone, which is becoming, to your point, harder than ever. What are some, maybe there are some tips that you can offer in terms of getting to that person that's actually signing the proposal as easily and quickly as possible?
You have to look at the lifetime value of your customer. So for everybody, it's different. Now, would I do another $3,000 or $4,000 mailing in the carpet biz? Probably not, because I don't want to say I got lucky, but I hit it pretty good on that. But if your lifetime value is, if you're looking at tens of thousands of dollars, then that really dictates how much you can spend to get in front of them. One of the things that I use a campaign. So one of the products I have, I take business owners to Disney for 3 and 4 day full immersion boot camps. And the ticket for that's like about $4,000. But I work it with a business coach to bring their members. And so when I'm trying to get in front of the business coaches, they have phenomenal gatekeepers. So I'll do a 10-step to them. And the first step is mailing them a Mickey Mouse plush with a note on it that says, hey, remember, it all started with a mouse. And probably half of them respond to that. Now, whether it's hey, thanks for the mouse, that was kind of cute, but I'm not interested. At least that's a response. And you can put them in your CRM and say, oh, well, at least they called. Maybe they'll warm up to something else. But the rest are like, what's this all about? There's that little bit of mystery in there. It's like, why the hell is somebody sending me a Mickey Mouse plush through the mail? So they need to have that open-ended question answered. If they don't respond to that, then it's a combination of online and offline. Send an email. Send a paper email. Have you ever gotten a paper email?
A paper email.
A paper email.
Snail mail?
Well, it's literally, I take the email I sent last week, I print it out, and at the top I stamp paper email, and then put it in an envelope. And the outside of the envelope, I have another stamp that says paper email enclosed. Now, if you don't know what a paper email, your brain just can't process that. So you're looking at the envelope. All right, I got to find out what that is. So, half the battle is getting your envelope open. If they don't respond to that, then there's, social media connections. Then I will send them a beach towel. Somewhere in there, they get a Mickey Mouse glove business card holder that they can put on their desk. And then the big kahuna at the end is what I call my shock and awe box, which is essentially Vance in a box. It's because I can't go everywhere. So it's got copies of my books in it. It's got a magazine I created. It's got some food, got some toys in there, big book of testimonials. And usually by that time, if they get through all 10 steps of the campaign, I've got about a 73% response rate on the entire campaign. That entire campaign probably cost me close to $500 between plushes and postage and stuff.
Can you back up a second, Vance? Break that down. What is that? How does a prospect, how do you initiate top of funnel that prospect, and how do you bring them to the next stage? What does that journey look like?
Yeah, sure. So I'll identify the prospect. I do them 10 at a time. So if you've ever read Chet Holmes, he's got his Dream 100. That's too big of a number for me, so I do 10. So the process I have is called 10, 10, 10. 10 prospects touch 10 times over 10 weeks. So week 1 is the big Mickey Mouse plush. Just get their attention. And then we drip on them with other things. Every single week they're getting something. And at the end of 10 weeks, we've touched them 10 times. And we figure, well, if you're not going to respond by then, all right, we'll put you in the fold and we'll try it again in 2 years. But I've been running this now for going on about 3 years, steadily at the 70 some odd percent response. And probably because it's a large item, usually right around a 5% sale turns into a sale. And then they just get put into if they don't respond to anything or they turn me down, they get put into some other kind of campaign that we keep in touch with them.
Are these 10 touches all physical products being sent to them, or physical email, like an actual snail mail? It's 10 different things. Okay.
Yeah, 10 different things, combination of digital and physical. So, as I mentioned, you get the email. Okay, great. That you don't respond to that, you're going to get the paper email. All right, you don't respond to that. Okay, great. We're going to reach out to you on social media and do the connections and the DMs and things like that. Great. If you don't respond to that, okay, I'm going to go to the towel. I do an oversized postcard, it's a 9x12 postcard. And I put a picture of them on a milk carton saying, hey, have you seen this guy? I've got a great printer and mail house, and they'll print one postcard for me if I need them to. And so combination of all that. And then I also have a print newsletter. And if they get through that 10 and no response, they'll get on my newsletter list. And so I'm constantly in front of them with my stuff, so that they get to know, like, and trust me. And I had somebody in that sequence for almost 3 years. It was like 30 months. And they finally raised their hand and said, yes, let's do a Disney trip.
Okay.
I'm like, at what point do you not send it? I mean, I'm like, it cost me $1. Okay, so what? But you just don't know when the buyer is going to be ready. You just don't know.
So, okay, there's a lot to unpack here. So when it comes to selecting the prospects that enter into this magic 10, right? The focal 10, right? Like, there has to be some sort of a process to weed these down to 10. And I say this because it's very unique, a really fresh approach to this, because for us as an agency, we're constantly generating dozens upon dozens of leads for ourselves every single day through SEO, Google ads, meta advertising. So, and through that, to be like, wow, only 10, you know what I mean? But then again, you're closing it. You've proved the concept. You're closing X amount of 10, which make the ROI. It makes sense for us. We need to get at least 100 leads to make that ROI on that, right? For obvious reasons. So that's why I'm really interested in this whole approach. And specifically, how are you choosing this initial 10 to go after?
Yeah, great question. So in the old days, prior to our friend ChatGPT, it was a lot of online VA doing a lot of online research, looking, let's just say it was business coaches. So we would, okay, great. That's a huge pool. And a lot of them are not worth anything. No offense to business coaches, but I mean, they have like one client, it's not going to really be a big help. So we find a business coach who has a membership. The membership has got to have X number of people in it. And they have to be doing live events. So really the three big criteria for us: live events, where their members travel to the event. So they're used to travel, they're used to going to things. And it's a big enough audience, 500, that usually we'll be able to get 10% of his membership to go on a Disney event with us. So that demographic of business coach, 500 members, and is doing live events really whittles that business consultant pool down significantly. But now with ChatGPT, I put the same stuff in there, and I got a list of like 140 of these guys, and they constantly finding more. So yeah, I'm set for a while on on marketing to them.
So, okay, so you're narrowing this list of, let's say, 140 down to 10, the
Yep.
10 that you want to go after next. And these people that are entering into this ecosystem, are you finding them through meta advertising, networking? How exactly are you finding them? LinkedIn outreach? Like, how are you finding them to know that they are hosting live events with numerous people and they have more than one client?
Yeah, so certainly the VA was doing that research. Go to the website and see that, okay, yes, 2 times a year he has an event. And from the pictures, well, it looks like there's at least 200 people in the room. So, I mean, this was a manual process. But again, remember, for me, the ROI, the ticket to me is a high 5-figure sale. So I don't mind paying the VA to go and do all that stuff. Right now, I literally take those same parameters and put it into ChatGPT and said, go find me coaches that have memberships with at least 500 and are hosting live events. And Chatty goes out and does whatever it is ChatGPT does and comes back with the results. And really, from the 140, I'll take 10 and run 10. And then in 10 weeks, I'll start another 10. And just keep going until I run out of prospects, or I'm just so busy that I don't need to do it. But
so I'm curious. So you have the VA doing a lot of the heavy lifting for
Yep.
this, right? Which is great. And plus, obviously, leveraging AI to accomplish a lot of that stuff. In terms of your personal involvement for prospecting these 10, what are you personally doing?
I am literally just reviewing the list that the VA produces. And I'll probably pick 2 or 3 out of there just to kind of spot check and see. A lot of them I might already know the name. And so if you've heard of them, I mean, I haven't done it with Tony Robbins, but if Tony Robbins' name ended up on the list, I'd be like, oh, okay, let's get him to the top. But that actually would be interesting. Maybe I should reach out to him.
Shoot for the stars, land on the moon. That's how it goes, right?
Exactly. Yeah, so really the VA did the bulk of the research. It's just minutia stuff I don't want to touch because, I should be doing the $1,000 an hour work, not the $10 an hour work. So
that's, I mean, that I think that's a challenging part for a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs, is differentiating that and letting go, right?
Well, yeah, if you're going to have that quantum leap in your business, you got to let go of the $10 an hour jobs that you, the business owner, are doing. You got to drop them.
Mm-hmm.
There's no other way, because you just don't have time in the day. Your brain can't handle anymore. So if you got somebody doing the $10 an hour jobs, great. Now you can focus on the $100 hour, $1,000 an hour, whatever it is, and your business can make those leaps from there.
So you get the hot lead that comes in, and you're wrapping your arms around it. You're getting on sales calls, and what does the sales cycle look like for you with one of these leads that come to the pipe?
Anywhere, I mean, as far as time period, anywhere from 30 days to 3 years, and anywhere in between there. And again, the ones that don't respond, they're put on, my nurture list. And I think that that's something that business owners don't do enough of, and or they stop too soon. As we mentioned earlier, you don't know when your customer is going to be ready to buy. If you can afford to nurture your list until they buy or die, or just scream bloody murder, stop sending me stuff, you need to keep going. I mean, I do this in my carpet cleaning business. I mean, not to the extent of newsletters and that kind of thing, but I mean, they're getting postcards from me and emails and social media DMs on a monthly basis until they buy. And then once they become a customer, now they're into my customer retention system, which is completely different from what we're talking about as far as lead generation and attraction. So they really they're used to seeing my stuff. They're used to being marketed to. And the thing is it can't be boring. And I think that that's one of the things that so many marketers is not marketers, excuse me, business owners think that their stuff has to be beige and vanilla and blend in with everything. And that it's not the case. You got to stand out. Case in point, I did a post last week, news piece from the BBC was something about how breasts have been getting bigger and how bras have not kept up with the changing of breasts. And then they gave these stats of in a soccer game, a breast will bounce up and down 11,000 times with 5 G's of force. Wow. This is a BBC. Yeah, you're like, holy, you don't think about that. You're like, holy crap. And the movement is anywhere between 3 and 5 inches. So that's some wear and tear on a woman's body. I mean, and this was a legit article. And so I took that and I massaged it into one that turned it into a business lesson. I never thought in my wildest dreams that I would use the word boobies in any kind of marketing for any of my businesses. I just didn't think that was going to happen, but it did. And it was probably one in the last 90 days. It's my number one post. I mean, got some really good engagement, you know, and I think it's also using the Robert Collier principle, entering the conversation that's already happening in their minds.
Yes.
So I do a lot of newsjacking. So I find something that people are talking about and I take that, I tell the story in my own words. I have a transition and then the business lesson that you can draw from that. And anything from Ozzy Osbourne to Kim Kardashian to Warren Buffett. If people are talking about it, that's the best time to be using that stuff in your marketing.
So when we're using those topical items in your marketing, are you grabbing something, for example, Ozzy Osbourne's death, right? How would you use that piece of news and intertwine it into your marketing plan? Are you using LinkedIn?
Yeah, sure.
Blogging? What are you doing?
Yeah, it turns into a blog, a LinkedIn article, Substack article, email, you know, all tweaked so that you have to respect your audience and respect the media. So you can't take the same article and post it in 19 places because you're just going to irritate, you dilute your audience. They just don't, oh, I'm on the email list. That should be, you know, that's got some cachet that he's going to be sending me stuff that he doesn't really publish anywhere else. So it's got to be different. But yeah, so I'll use I used Ozzy Osbourne's passing, you know, talked a little bit about, you know, how out of the box he was, you know, biting the head off bats and all the weird stuff that he did. And, you know, the business lessons that come out of that are, you know, being true to yourself. You know, he created a character and he portrayed that character. I mean, you know, when you saw him on TV, he was just a doddering old guy in a bathrobe. But when he's on stage, he's this, you know, wild rock and roller. And so he carefully curated that persona, which is what business owners need to do. It's the only thing that's separate. I mean, we're all in commodity businesses, right? I mean, a dentist is a dentist is a dentist. There's only so many ways you can clean teeth. Mm-hmm. What separates one dentist from the other? And it's the experience that dentist is providing. And usually the experience is generated from the personality of the business owner. So I'm always telling people, if fly fishing or knitting or race cars, whatever your passion is, bring that forward because it humanizes you. It's going to, you know, people are going to be like, oh, wow, that's really cool. I knew he was a dentist, but, oh, he races Formula One. Wow. You know, all that stuff makes you unique and your business will stand out. I mean, you know, my carpet cleaning business, I'd like to say that we, you know, clean carpet 40 or 50% better than our competitors. And maybe we do. But my pricing is 40% higher than my closest competitor because of the experiences that I've installed in the overall customer journey of one of them. So we've talked a lot about, you know, all of these things that can make up an experience. But at the end of the day, you have to be able to monetize it. You know?
Yeah.
And
You bring up some excellent points, Vance. And and when you're talking about, because I get this question a lot, it's like people are asking, oh, I need to create a business Instagram profile and I have my personal one. It's like, no, you don't need to create a separate one. It's hard enough to grow one Instagram account, let alone two. Use your personal and just shed a little bit of, or tinkle in a little bit of your business in there, or vice versa. And on LinkedIn, LinkedIn is really rewarding this in the algorithm now. My highest reaching post in the last 30 days was a post I wrote about me still playing rugby at 44 years old. Nothing to do with business, had everything to do with playing rugby. And this is what the algorithm liked and what the LinkedIn user base liked. And that's it. People, like, to your point, people want to know you as the business owner, not you as the salesperson for the business.
100%. Yeah, I agree.
So, with that being said, I want to talk a bit, because you are very versatile in terms of the businesses that you're doing. We talked a lot about that, the approach in terms of reaching out to business coaches. It's a much different approach when talking about local businesses and standing out. And you brought an excellent example up there on one way of helping a local business stand out. What else do you find working really well in the day we're in now with your local business and getting more visibility?
Sure. And it's something, and I'd like to say I coined the phrase, but I'm sure somebody else did. And I usually use a radius around that business and say, we want to be 50-mile famous or 20-mile famous. So just pick your spot on the map and draw a circle around it, however many miles out you want to serve them, and say, we got to do everything we can to be famous within these 50 miles. And there are, a lot of good way. One way that we use, I call it power-based marketing. So we have a lot of businesses that can refer us continuous business. So it's not like a onesie twosie referral, like, your Aunt Harriet down the street needs something, but a business that can refer continuous business to us. So I've got a marketing person. Her whole job is to drive around our territory within our 50-mile radius and create, relationships with these businesses. And we do that with food. So we go in with a candy bowl, and we do this huge production of setting up a candy bowl in one of our referral places. And we say, look, we'd love to, leave this candy bowl in your waiting room for your customers. If for any reason it ever is empty, please call me. We'll come back and refill it. So we all hated when the salespeople showed up at our office. You just hate that. The candy bowl is the excuse to go back into that office again and again. So my marketing person has a route, and she knows that in 10 days, she's going to be back in that office, refilling the candy and refilling the brochures or business cards that are right there. She's going to get a relationship built with Marge at the front desk. And after 4 or 5 weeks of, you're there consistently, you're not showing up, you can start to say, hey, Marge, how does, let's say it's a real estate office. Do you guys still have meetings here? I know since COVID, most realtors don't come into the office anymore. And a lot of them are, oh, no, we usually get, at least, every 2 weeks, the broker has a meeting. Okay, great. Do you think she would want somebody to come in and do a little class on marketing, or, how to make the realtors better at sales? And oh yeah, see, so we're not training the realtors on real estate stuff or CE classes or anything like that. We're giving them literally what I just said. What we're doing to them, we teach them how to do to others. And so now they're getting a strategy that nobody else has. And while we're doing that strategy to them, if that makes sense.
I love it. I love it. They're looking at you as like, oh, you guys are doing this for yourselves. What if you do that for us too? That's awesome. And that's a great strategy to deploy, especially as a digital marketing agency. We pride ourselves on that approach. It's like, you want to know how good we're doing? Well, you opted into our ad and into our funnel. So you want us to do
Right.
that for you? We can do that for you too, you know?
Yep.
So
100%.
I love the way you put it though. It's like 20-kilometer famous or 10-kilometer famous. For a restaurant, your postal code or zip code famous, you know?
Yeah, exactly. 100%. And I think, you know, I mean, me personally, I don't do the digital stuff. I got two guys that do the digital stuff for me. One, I don't want to get sucked into that. But it's got its uses and its place, and it's got to be married with something else. I mean, unless you're just a big international, we sell widgets and doesn't matter how many widgets we sell or who we sell them to. It's got to be married with other outreach, and whether the digital Google pay-per-click or whatever, you know, is, you know, a huge lead generator. Great. What do you marry that with to make sure, well, okay, what about the people that don't go on Google? Yes, they do exist. You know, how do you get them into the fold? And then the one piece that we haven't talked about, and I know we're probably running out of time, but is customer retention. It is ridiculously expensive to get a new customer in the front door. I mean, I saw my July numbers for my customer acquisition. For me to get a new customer in the front door in one of my business was $126. That ain't cheap. But in order for me to market to my existing customers, it only cost me $22 a year per customer. So when I serve a previous customer, I'm already $100 more profitable than I am from a new customer. And I think you have to have that mix if you want to grow profitably. Yeah, you can grow exponentially with new customers, but you're going to go broke real fast because that's expensive. You got to have a back end in order to cross-sell, upsell, resell, whatever to your existing.
This is one of the reasons why I got into a subscription-based business model.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes it much easier to get that recurring income month over month than having to go and hunt down a new customer like your furniture store. You know what I mean? So, you know, no, that's a really good point. The importance of customer retention, and I'm sure you have a few tips in terms of how to stay top of mind with your existing customers. I think a lot of businesses out there are a little scared of doing that, especially subscription-based models. It's like, oh, if I poke the bear, they might cancel or something like that, right? Like that could be the mindset of some people, so they're reluctant to reach out to their customer base for that reason.
I had that exact conversation with a prospect on Monday. Called me up. He's in a industry that's going to get wiped out by AI. It's just a matter of months now. I was like, look, you need to make a shift here, and because it's gonna wipe you out. What are you doing to stay in touch with your current, and is a subscription business? What are you doing to stay in touch? He goes, oh, I don't want to bother them. I'm like, yeah, but it's not bothering them. It's reminding them that you exist. It's not the customer's job to remember you. It's your job to remind the customer that you exist. And if you're staying in touch with them, not always selling, because nobody likes to be sold to all the time. I mean, if the only time I ever hear from you is when you want money, that's not a good relationship. That's just a one-way transaction. But if you're sending like a postcard or a newsletter with frequency, and you're talking about things that are not overtly trying to sell you stuff, and you're just staying top of mind, well, now you've got word of mouth, you've got referrals. Because if you bought this guy's service, on hold messaging. So when you call an office and they get the message on hold, and he does live actors in the studio that do this stuff. And I'm like, geez, that's going to get wiped out soon. Did you think of upselling or cross-selling? Oh, no, we just have that. Well, you're going to need to diversify here a little bit. You know, maybe you should, can you offer another package where you change the message? Oh, no, changing the message costs money. Okay, so you charge more. Now you have a second tier in your package. I think that, they say AI is going to be wiping out a lot of businesses. I take that with a grain of salt. In this case, though, the this could go the way of the dodo bird if he doesn't adapt to what's going on in the marketplace. And he's leaving a lot of money on the table by not having a premium option. And even if nobody takes the premium option, it's still what they call a slack adjuster. It makes your other price look good. Yep. And there are people out there that always buy the best option because that's just what they do. You know what I mean? That's their nature. Okay, that's the best one. Fine. Give me 3 of those. Where were you, for the rest of my life? But yeah, I think really taking that time to not be a pest, to mix in a little bit of entertainment, a little bit of your life, personality, storytelling, and then, special customer only promotions, I think there's no reason you shouldn't be doing that. None whatsoever.
Vance, this has been nothing short of awesome. If our audience has any questions for you or would like to get in touch, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, vancemorris.com. Nice and simple. vancemorris.com will take you to my central website, and from there you can pick your own journey. And if anybody is not feeling creative and they don't know how to wow their customers or retain them, I've got a special hot sheets, 52 ways to wow your customer without breaking the bank. And you can get that at wow52ways.com.
Awesome. Vance, thanks for your time.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, podcast listener, for checking out that episode of Drop the Mic. If you liked that episode, I would love it if you went on over to your podcast platform and left us a 5-star review. And if you don't want to miss an upcoming episode of Drop the Mic, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. Thanks again. See you soon.